I went downtown looking for someone to rob.
I turned around and he just fired.
This week, People sits down with Debbie Baigrie, who was shot in the face more than 26 years ago, as well as Manuel, the man who shot her.
It made me feel bad that I was given the second chance and he wasn't. He didn't kill me.
While Debbie was healing from her injuries and Ian was in prison, the two miraculously became friends, while Debbie continuously tried to get him released.
I just wanted him at some point to have a second chance.
This is a remarkable story about friendship and the power of forgiveness.
I grew up in one of the roughest neighborhoods in Tampa called Central Park Village. It was run down, full of violence. I had a pretty rough upbringing.
Before the incident, I was a new mother. I had 2 children, lived in the suburbs, you know, that whole life. A couple of my girlfriends wanted me to go for happy hour. I hadn't been out since my second child was born. She was 1 at the time. So we chose somewhere downtown.
Well, a couple of my friends asked me to go downtown. They kept trying to influence me to rob this person, that person. I'm like, I don't feel comfortable doing that, you know? But I was the youngest, I was 13.
Debbie was just finishing up her night, was about to get into her car and head home.
I see 2 guys walking up and they asked me for change.
That's what the plan was. He's gonna ask for change. And then when they go to give the change, then that's when I'm gonna pull out the gun to actually commit the robbery. I thought, standing back, that I heard change, that they was going to provide change, and that's when the shots were fired.
The bullet hit Debbie in her face, specifically around her mouth. Right after, ran back to the restaurant for help.
I didn't even know anyone was shot. No one fell down during this incident. Debbie kept running. I was arrested 3 days later. I went from, the familiarity of juvenile detention center. 17 days later, I was placed in Hillsborough County Jail. To go from just being with strictly children to being in cages and cells, it was an eye-opening experience.
The first few months were pretty rough. The first week was really hard because I still had that fear.
As Debbie started the process of healing, which included the reconstruction of her mouth, which took 10 years to complete, she also spoke at Ian's sentencing hearing.
At first I said, he's so young, and I would rather him be rehabilitated than sent to jail. And then the attorney for the other side listed like 13 prior convictions that he had had. They were trying to convince me that I was crazy. You cannot rehabilitate this kid. He's a habitual criminal.
July 30th, 1990. I was charged with attempted murder, armed robbery, and attempted armed robbery. He gave me a life sentence followed by life probation.
I cannot believe he gave me a life sentence for this. Look at me, And, but there was nothing I can do to help him. I felt like my hands were tied.
I was placed in adult prison like a few months after my 14th birthday. It was around Christmas time, and I had just been feeling just bad, man. I mean, sitting in this situation and feeling so sorry for what I did. You know what, man? I'm gonna call this lady. I'm gonna do something. I just feel like it might work. And I went out there in the compound, the prison compound, in the middle of it, and they had a section of phones. I picked up the phone.
It actually shook me up a little bit because this is the first time that, I had spoken to him. But what am I gonna say? Why did you shoot me? So he said it was an accident. He didn't really mean to, and he's so sorry that he did that. And I thought that took a lot of courage for him to do that.
After that first phone call around Christmas time in 1991, there was quite a bit of time that Debbie and Ian didn't speak.
I wrote her, but I didn't hear back from her that year. You know, people try to influence her to stop communicating with me. He's a throwaway kid. He's a sociopath. He's a gang member. He's just hopeless. She just, you know, she stuck with me, man. She saw that I was different.
As the years went on, Debbie and Ian continued to communicate on the phone and through letters, while Debbie lived her life, raising her family, creating a business, while Ian just stayed behind bars and where he was.
I did 18 consecutive years in solitary.
What happened changed me a lot. It made me, you know, be more aware and more compassionate, and I appreciated life.
Doubt would creep in. Would I ever get out? Would I even ever get out of solitary, let alone prison? The sun started to shine when I first got my letter from Brian Stevenson.
Brian Stevenson is a lawyer, NYU law professor, author, and founder of the Equal Justice Initiative. Brian took a case similar to Ian's all the way to the Supreme Court in 2010.
For him to write me and offer to take my case for free was like manna from heaven.
That's when Ian's case really started to gain some traction.
Brian wrote his book, the New York Times wrote an article, and that gave me, you know, sustenance, you know, to survive.
After 2006, with the help of the Equal Justice Initiative, it was in 2010 that the Supreme Court ruled that it was unconstitutional to have juveniles in prison for life sentences without parole for anything other than murder. And that's really when Ian thought, whoa, I'm actually gonna get out.
I remember when it happened and I got that information. It was like, I'm finally going home.
But it wasn't that simple.
I thought I was going home in 2011. I was sent back to prison with a new type of license, basically. I was given 65 years. Debbie kept chopping at the bits, let him out.
By the time Ian was released, he had spent 26 years in prison.
I was released November 10th, 2016.
I was in court that day, and I was sitting with his social worker, Mariah, and a few of Ian's supporters, his family, and that's when I found out, is when the judge told him. The judge said to him, just stay away from guns. Remember he said that to you? And
yeah.
I'm thinking,
who wants to see a gun? I thought, one bullet cost me 26 years of my life. Who wants to see a gun? I'm not even thinking about a gun. I'm thinking about helping and healing.
we decided to meet for pizza after. We hugged, and it was really a nice, great feeling.
In the months since his release, Ian and Debbie continued to remain very close.
We talk regularly.
We talk regularly. She gives me encouraging advice.
He's like friend/son.
Right.
The wonderful thing is, everything that I always believed in Ian, everyone is seeing now.
I remember the judge asking me, Mr. Manuel, what are you going to do with your life? And I told him I'm going to go around talking to kids and trying to encourage them not to make the mistakes I'm making. I survived for a reason, and maybe that reason is to change the course of somebody's life. Me sitting here next to this woman who forgave me for shooting her, is nothing short of miraculous.